In this lecture, we are talking about the QtQuick global object. Here we are in the online documentation for this Qt global object. It is called the QtQML type. If we click on the more link here, it says that the Qt object is a global object with utility functions, properties, and enums. It basically gives you some utilities that you can use to make your job easier. For example, you can use it here to define a color. We have done this before when we looked at the data types. So to define a color, you call the Qt global object, you put a dot, you call the RGBA method, and you specify the red component, the green component, the blue component, and the opacity component. There are some types that are defined in this Qt global object. You can use it to define a rectangle, a point, a size. We have done this in a previous lecture. You can use it to define a color. There are methods you can use, the font, and all these objects, you can use it to define these objects. There are also some other objects that have information we might be interested in. For example, you may want to grab the information for the operating system that you are working on. And the way you do that, you can come to the platform object and query the OS that you are using. Okay, it can print it out, and we are going to try this thing. So right now, I'd like to go to Qt Creator and show you some of these things in action. Okay, so here we are in Qt Creator. I am going to create a new project. It's going to be a QtQuick application. I am going to call it Qt Global Object Demo and store it in the usual location. Hit Next. Choose the Qt version I want to use. I choose the latest one I have installed. I choose my kit as usual and hit Finish. I want to change this title here. And put a rectangle down here. It's going to have a width of 300, a height of 100, a color red, and inside we're going to put in a mouse area, which is going to fill the parent, and in its onClicked method, we are going to quit the application. And guess what we are going to use? We are going to call the quit method from the Qt global object. Something like this. We also want to center this rectangle. So we're going to say anchor center in parent. Okay, so let's say that we are quitting so that it is obvious. Let's run the application. Okay, the app is here. You can see our red rectangle. And when I click on it, notice what happens in the app output pane here. Quitting the app and our app dies. Okay, this is what we want. Now you know how to use the quit method from the Qt global object. Another thing you can do from the Qt global object is list the available fonts. So let's say that. So we are going to define a property here. It's going to be a var type, and it's going to be called fonts. And we are going to assign the Qt.fontFamilies method, which returns a list of available fonts. So what we can do down here is do a loop. So we're going to say for I less than fonts, I++, and you see that this doesn't autocomplete to show us this property because this is a var. There's no way the system would have known that it's an array, but when we call this property, the system is going to check and see if it's available, and if it's available, it's going to call it, and we won't have any problem. So we're going to go inside the body of the loop and say console log. Okay, it's going to show the index in square brackets, and then it's going to say the font that we are dealing with at that particular iteration. Let's run the application. When you click this thing, you see that we have around 352 fonts installed on this system. And if you scroll up, you're going to see the entire list. Okay. And if you look down, you're going to find my favorite font, which is Consolas. I love this so much. This is what I am even using here in Qt Creator. So you can list your fonts using the Qt global object by calling Qt font families method. The other thing you can do from the Qt global object is hash a string. So what you can do, for example, is define a var, call it mname, and give it a value of Daniel, my name. So what you can do is compute the hash for this. So we're going to say, and you can call Qt md5 and pass in mname. Okay. So by now we have our hash stored in this variable, so we can output it, console log mname hash, run the application, click on the button, and this is our hash here. This is not all. You can also open URLs externally. So we're going to say open. These are all things you're going to need sometime in your journey as a UI developer using QtQuick. So you can say qt.open URL externally and pass in the URL that you want to open. So we're going to say HTTP, for example, and put in our website. And if we run this, click on this, you're going to see that a browser is going to open, but it's not putting in our website. What is wrong? I put in 2 columns. Let's run again. You see that it's now working. It is loading our website. We can also open local files using the default program. For example, what happens when you double click on an image, your default program for opening images is going to open them. So that's what we're going to do here. When we click on this mouse area, we are going to call this method, but we are going to pass in a full path to a file. Let me show you what I mean. So we're going to call Qt open URL externally. It's going to be the same thing, but we are going to say file and pass in the full path to the file. I happen to have an image down here under this path. This image is a PNG. You can see it here. So I am going to capture its path, copy it, come back to our project and paste it here. Okay, I'm going to change this to a backslash, bring this back, and pass in the name for that file. So to avoid any errors, I am just going to copy the name here, put it in here, and give it a PNG extension. So if we click, we are going to open this website, but we are also going to open this file locally. So let's comment this out so that it doesn't get in the way of what we want to see. Run the application. If we click on this, you see that this image opens in my default program, which happens to be the default Windows image viewer. Okay, this is cool. Sometimes you need to do this, and Qt makes it very easy to do, even using the QtQuick API. The last thing I want to do is to show you how you can print or get the current platform that your application is running on. So the way you do that, you can print it out, console log, and say Qt platform OS. Okay, so we can put a string in front here and make it clear what we are trying to show. The current platform. Let's see this. Run the application. Click on this guy. It's going to open in our image viewer, but you see that it says that the current platform is Windows. Okay, we have just seen a few things about the Qt global object. But if you are really interested, you can come and look at all the offerings that are there. And I'm sure you're going to be using this all over your applications in Qt. For example, what we just did to print the platform information, it is from this platform object. And you see that it prints the OS. This read-only property contains the name of the operating system. Possible values are currently the platforms supported by Qt. You see Android, iOS, tvOS, Linux, macOS, Windows. This is what we just saw. Okay, you can play with other things if you are in the mood for that. This covers all we set out to do in this lecture. In the next one, we're going to talk about properties and signal handlers. I'll see you in the next lecture.